I'm Chris Yandeck. Today on CYInterview, we welcome our sponsor and the founder of Epic Financial Strategies, Rob Gill. Rob, thanks so much for joining us on CYInterview. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Chris. Thank you for having me. Honored to be here, brother.
We are grateful to have you here. So just to begin on this, you're going to be on a couple of upcoming CYInterview segments with us, obviously, as the months go on, and we'll be seeing you more. So why don't you tell a little bit about who you are? Why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so for me, my name is Rob Gill. I grew up in Bayonne, New Jersey, blue-collar neighborhood in 12 miles outside of Manhattan. And growing up, it was more of the mindset of, keeping up with the Joneses, schoolyard. There was no social media back then, and typically kids had to be home when the lights went on the streets at night. I didn't have to be home, but I used to act like I had to be home. And I grew up in a place where money was a scarce mindset, where by the 20th of every month, we ran out of money. Had parents that did the best they can with the tools they had with love in their heart. But also in my family, there was drugs and alcohol. And that's important. That's part of my story, because eventually I was fortunate enough to get sober in 1996. And as a result of that, had the gift of living two lives, one of self-imprisonment and then one of a level of freedom that I could never have comprehended before I was age 26. I felt like I was either going to be on a bar stool for the rest of my life, never imagined owning businesses, having a family, and having an impact. But as time went on, I was gifted certain mentors and teachers, one being Jay Bilstein, the first of many. I would say the most important one, the one that got me off of the ground mentally and gave me a first couple of set of books to read, which really kind of shifted and changed everything. And for anyone that's ever part of a success journey, for me, it only takes one, right? So along my journey, there was always one person that backed me. And that one person would always help me go a little bit higher on the mountain to increase my base camp, right? And then you have to get your oxygen. You don't want to go too fast, because if you go too fast, you can crash and burn. And there was a couple of times where I may have gone a little bit too fast in my journey. Thank God I was able to recover, really get my feet back on the ground. And that's when I came up with understanding the difference between financial scarcity, right, mindset-wise, and into abundant, because I was the person that, made 12 grand in 1996, but made $1 million in 2008, 9, and 10. However, I felt like I didn't deserve it on some deep level, subconscious level. If you think of Ed Milet, he talks about a financial temperature. And I gave it away. I did everything I could to give it back, meaning missed meetings, stopped building my company, stopped recruiting, stopped modeling, was really more into like gold chains and boxing promotional companies and houses, and really not bringing the grind that I brought to get me to that place. And, Jay came in my life at another 2 times, very important, 1995, 96, and then 2012, 13, and 14. Both times, base camp increased massively. And, as I sit here today, what I realized about financial abundance, if you're not mentally right, you can't survive that success, and you'll give it away, meaning I did. My book is coming out late June, Surviving Success, talking about that. And it's not just about understanding how to make money, because we could teach people how to do that, but it's how to survive the intoxication of money if you're not careful. And money, if used as a tool to make the world a better place, is so much better and so much more uplifting than if it's just meant to be for me to get what I want. For example, if I say, hey, I want to make $1 million so I can buy that house, versus I want to make $1 million so I could train other agents to be able to talk to potential clients about financial freedom, those are two different things. Those are two different impacts. And then, the question becomes, how do you survive success? Well, if there's some mental health wounds that are there that haven't been dealt with, you have to deal with them. So you have to discover this. As a result, we're in the process of creating our own financial literacy courses in high school, but not just that. In that course will be mental health, as well as how to become an entrepreneur and how to brand and market yourself. And we're doing that real time as I speak.
So what are you currently working on, just before we move on to the other stuff?
Well, we've gone from 8 to 3,000 appointments a month through our different relationships vis-a-vis, we call them ecosystems, social media influencers. But along the way, I picked up a basketball AAU hobby that's really taken a lot of my time right now, because it's quickly turning into a potential media company. or branding company or sports agency company. I don't know what it's going to be yet. It's happening on its own. But I am opening my own collective NIL for high school and college athletes to take away the corruption of the handler and give these kids freedoms to do what they want. For example, if there's an NIL, it's usually tied to one school. The one we're opening is going to be an independent. So the kid has a chance to choose whatever school he wants to go to, or she.
So what is inspiring you currently? You're a guy who loves to go to gatherings, motivational speeches. Like, what is currently inspiring you in your life?
My inspiration is, listen, when you grow up, even though I'm not grown up yet, you have a family, right? You have children, but at some point, your children are going to get older, and it comes back down to, how do I want to make an impact on the world? So my inspiration is to annihilate privilege and really be able to help kids that don't have the privilege that I now have, but that I didn't have when I was coming up, and be the messenger to those people, whoever they are, whatever race, whatever gender, whatever age, that privilege is never going to be an excuse why you can or cannot make it. And I love the gifts that I've been given, but at some point it's hard to train my children in the adversity that I grew up in. So I actually can't identify with my kids from a financial mindset standpoint at that age. They are blessed in ways that I couldn't comprehend. So my basketball journey, not only as a player, but what I'm doing now as an owner, not a coach of an NAU team, has really, really given me a level of inspiration and fulfillment, because I see these kids that there's actually hope. And listen, if you look at right now in high school, there's 1.5 million high school basketball players, 1,500 get a scholarship. Of that 1,500 class, let's say 30 make it to the NBA, 80% of those 30 go bankrupt, which means 6 of them, from the day they picked up a basketball to the day they put it down, actually have money left, those 30, 40,000 hours of work. So what about all the other basketball players? Because basketball, or any sport, there's a direct link to entrepreneurship, right? So a basketball player, I'm going to use that as an example, is good at repetition, shooting 3, 4, 5, 600 jump shots a day, practicing every day, but they might not be good at math. They might not be good at science, but entrepreneurs are good at repetition. And if you could figure out what you want to do, I want to stand for the kids that get scholarships or just play basketball and have that in them. They might not be a doctor, lawyer, or an accountant, but they could become an entrepreneur at the highest level if they understand what's out there for them. So that's my inspiration, to be able to, number one, help people stay sober one day at a time, and number two, provide education financially to people that, and by the way, I work with privileged people as well. Make no mistake about it. I mean, some of our biggest accounts here, these folks are worth $300, $400, $500 million, beautiful souls, usually people that want to give back like I do. I don't want to work with somebody that I wouldn't invite in my living room. I've gotten to that point where I have that honor, that I don't just have to say yes. And I think that I am tied to who I am and my core. I don't owe anybody from a monetary standpoint that did me a favor. So I'm not owing somebody to do something for somebody else. And that freedom feels incredible. And that gift has been given to me once I stopped obsessing and I've divorced myself from the money. And it's a thing that I'm talking about. How do you divorce yourself from money? Well, talking about the feelings of money, the chase of money. You could live a great life and not have to chase money, and it'll come to you if you follow a certain set of principles.
So moving forward, let's talk about your time in Las Vegas. Why does Rob Gill come to Las Vegas on an ongoing basis, and what does he love about Las Vegas?
Well, what's not to love about Las Vegas, right? I mean, Las Vegas is Las Vegas. It's like a different planet. It's part of the metaverse. Time is frozen when I go to Las Vegas, although it goes very fast. But I got to give it up to my man, Dave Meltzer. He's one of my coaches. David has a studio at the Wynn, Blue Wire, which, it's a really cool podcast studio. We're thinking about opening one here in New Jersey. And he's often out there, and he has me as a guest. And whenever he has me as a guest, or whenever he has me, do other things, I'm always going to come out there. And the 3 times I think that you and I saw each other, I don't know if it was 2 or 3, it was all David Meltzer related.
I understand. So let's
But
talk
now,
about
hold on. But now I'm a sponsor of CY Interview, the fastest growing independent news agency in Vegas. So let's keep that real. 100%.
And for our C1 interview viewers, they'll be seeing Rob Gill more in the
Yes.
coming months on other segments as well. So why don't you talk about one thing in closing that you always love to say? You're a student, you never stop learning. Tell me about how important that is to your daily life.
You know, context is important because when I wasn't a student, that's when everything almost crashed and burned, right? So being a student to me means that you're constantly elevating, right? When you know it all, if you're the smartest person in the room, it's a dangerous place to be because absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? And then you become delusional and distorted because you actually think that everything you say and do is right. So I've made it a point in the last 5-6 years to surround myself with folks that just blow my mind. So if I look at Sean Callaghy, who's, you know, he is an outstanding attorney. He has 2 top 100 jury verdicts in 2014 and 16. He is blind. And his peak performance mindset coaching company, Unblinded, and he as the teacher, is one of the greatest influential tools or a coaching program with influence where you could create a level of predictability on an outcome based on the model that he's created. Outstanding. I always say when I'm around Sean, I enjoy being in the passenger seat because I just want to sit with him and learn. If you look at Chris Crone, who is a dynamic influencer, probably a top 15 or 20 globally in the space of real estate on YouTube. He has a bunch of different little programs that he does. His primary purpose is real estate as how he makes his money as well as coaching, but his peak performance mindset when it comes to emotional intelligence is really cool. And he knows how to train people in that space. David Meltzer, David Meltzer to me represents a version of me. Although I never went bankrupt, he's the original. He ran the sports division for Lee Steinberg, who's the original Show Me the Money. And at one point, he lost $100 million in 2008 and 9 because of his real estate investments, one of them being in the golf course. And his encore, his redemption story is almost like Steve Jobs. When Steve Jobs came back in 1996 and he shrunk everything from 100 products to 4 products. If anyone reminds me of Steve Jobs and the way he's made his comeback is David Meltzer. I mean, he knows his Rolodex. He knows everybody. And the way he coaches me and his process mastery, everything he does in 15 minutes. And this guy is a sleep coach. He talks about compounding energy, which I think is some of the most incredible words. I'm still trying to figure out what it means, but it's incredible. And I thoroughly enjoy David. And he introduced me to another gentleman, Randy Garn, who's part of Ariel Capital, which is a $2 billion private equity fund. Randy is, he's from Utah, and I think his coaching company was Prosper. I think that's the name of it. In 2013, it was bought out as a very, very big buyout. He's very successful. He does private investments for Tony Robbins. He's part of Tony's inner circle when it comes to alternative strategy. So Randy's outstanding. He's helping me in other areas on storytelling and how to present myself. And then my other partnership is with a company called Tax Hive, which is owned by Kevin O'Leary. And Tax Hive stands for showing people, business owners, because each business owner overpays about $40,000 a year in taxes, how to really understand tax strategy versus tax write-off. And, these partnerships, these, what I call my top 5, leveling up, these are folks that are doing things that I can't comprehend and are showing me. And one day at a time, I get better and better at it. No different than in 1996, Jay Bilstein told me to read Cialdini's book. I finally read it in 1999. And after I read it, I went from opening 8 to 60 new accounts a month on the brokerage side. So that's what I have now going on. I think if your teachers been there, done that, or on the come up and are proven success winners, you got to invest in it too. At first, if you have no money, go on YouTube University and do the best you can. But at some point, investing in your business through proper mentors and teachers is what I did. And it's paid me dividends. We've gone from 8 to 3,000 appointments a month, which has allowed me to not only do this with you, Chris, but also step into the AU world and really tap into what really means something to me. And that's how to really multiply your businesses and be able to understand how each one can impact each other. And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Well, thanks for that, Rob. So in the coming months, you'll see more of CY Interview sponsor, the founder of Epic Financial Strategies LLC, Rob Gill. So For myself, Chris Shandick, and Rob Gill, and CY Interview, I'm Chris Shandick. Thank you for watching today's CY Interview segment from Las Vegas. Please hit the like button and please hit the subscribe button to be updated on all future CY Interview content from Las Vegas and beyond.